live. Let's test out the volume. So dumb. Why can't I see it? Alright, let's see how this sounds. Why can't I see it? It's a bit quiet. Do I want to try, like... What are you barking at, Doge? That puts the microphone in the way. That's probably loud. Shut up. Alright, let's see if that volume's any better. That puts the microphone in the way. That's probably loud. Shut up. Alright, let's see if that volume's any better. Not bad. Okay, so we'll leave it like that. And not mess with it. Today's content. What are we going to make today? What are we going to make today? Maintenance. Maintenance maybe isn't bad. Maintenance could be good. All right. Excuse me. Waiting for you to tell me I'm okay. Shower. I already did this, so we can do... Maybe not, actually. We'll keep that up. I created that one. Videos, that's done. Breathwork and yoga, top of mind. What else? Cold kills, anxiety, depression, etc. Melee, not melee. Wonder if support or swamp. It's not looking great. I'll see who it is before I pick runes. All right. AMA, Q&A. Being comfortable all the time is bad. How to get past the first 30 seconds. How to convince yourself to go all the way in. All right. Who are we going to be against? That would be hilarious. If it's a Xerath top, wouldn't go well. Okay. Create 5 new short video ideas from my channel with video title and a rough draft of content. Alright, so I'm assuming it's you on top. We'll just go grasp for short trades. That should be good. Don't want to do that. Top 3 breathing exercises to enhance. Boost your performance. Explain how cold exposure can benefit athletes by improving recovery, reducing inflammation, enhancing performance. 10-minute cold exposure routine specifically designated for athletes. How it complements cold exposure, the science of stretching. Discuss the science behind stretching and its benefits. Explain how it can complement cold exposure practices. I don't stretch enough. Maybe that could be a good one to do. Let's do this. Create. I'm gonna keep that and delete. That's all weird. What is happening right now?
Listen here, people. I'm not here to clean up your messes. This is a lamp, not a mop.
Welcome to Summoner's Rift. "30 seconds until minions spawn."
Hold on. Let me grab some more food.
Alright, that was a really good engage. And we got the reward early, which is so strong.
Minions have spawned.
Hopefully the jungler noticed that ward, because that's a pretty good one.
Any good fishing spots around here?
Alright, so we definitely win hard level 1, especially if we can get grasp stacked.
Picked up a few tricks during my wandering. Gifting wins!
That's such a good trade.
Last light of Acacia.
I really think it just gets worse. Because now I can Q to get the grasp. And they know it.
Could go for a boiled egg.
And then level 3, we can grasp W, which is gonna be sick. I need you to Q.
Next fool to ask about my face gets a mouthful of lamp.
They're junglers here.
metal against my fire.
I'm gonna fake like I'm warding.
Learned every weapon, bested every opponent.
I think. Forward. Griefin.
Well, the end of the world isn't gonna stop itself.
Cool. If you come forward, I kill you.
This one's got fire.
Okay. Oh, that's so bad. I thought I had Ignite. I took it off. I thought I had Ignite and I took it off. Ugh. And my farm's trash. Not good. So I'm down farm and gave him first.
Nothing wrong with a life of
That's so
peace.
poorly played.
Could never find one myself.
I'm dead. I lived. That's unfortunate backing though.
These old bones haven't failed me yet.
That back timing is going to be painful. Oh well.
Gotta keep limber at my age.
Yeah, that ruined me. And 2 plays.
Got a challenge for you.
Do you really just walk away?
You're welcome.
I don't even have boots. What a joke. Yeah, my life's over. That was terrible.
Can't tell if they just got lucky or if that took real skill.
Terrible of me to do that. I can't believe it, man. Oh well. I'm the only one who's died. Missed another cannon.
Long time ago.
I thought I would win.
Might have to make another heroic last stand.
An ally has been slain.
Alright.
Warriors, rulers, gods.
Quiet
They
down,
all
dog.
bleed the same.
She basically has pork.
Get out of there. Don't let up now.
Oh, that's just tilting.
No sword and shield beats old
It's crazy how bad this dude plays.
Always a reason to keep on keeping on.
Not a great one. He doesn't punish him. I don't know, man.
Ally has been slain.
It's so sad. Mm-mm-mm. I don't even know. I'll just sell that for that. That's my home.
Living through rough times makes you appreciate the simple. Like good company. Or a hard-boiled egg.
What? They changed the auto attack animation. It's crazy.
Some say I battle hard. Hard.
Or I don't know. I don't think I should fight.
Old man with a lamp coming through. Boldness is earned win after win. Blades.
Got him. That's unbelievable. From here to here. Range.
Not as dry as they used to.
I don't know if that was worth. You probably shouldn't be walking up
Picked up
like
a few
that.
tricks during
Because
my
I don't think you're
wandering.
that strong. Of course, they're both here still. That's so crazy.
An enemy has been slain.
It's always the goal that's me.
Fire flame's been burning
Your
like
turret has been destroyed.
Still haven't found someone worthy to carry
I
the
think it
torch.
will. That would actually be pretty funny.
She crawled under there to hide from Winnie.
And Winnie can't find her? That's a dumb dog, dude.
Last last line of Acadia.
Oh, no.
First line of defense.
Oh, no. Loser.
Give me your
That's
back.
crazy that I can't even stop that.
Could go for a boiled egg right about now.
I don't know, man.
Giving the enemy a free. Next fool to ask about my face gets a mouthful of lamp.
Do we just go next? Probably.
Gotta go. The eternal light needs more fuel.
An enemy has been slain.
Hey, quiet down, dog. What do we do here?
If my old Kohari comrades
They're not gonna
saw
have
me
that.
now, they'd probably say my touch.
Yeah, they're not.
I'll test their metal against my fire.
If they go too deep, I can TP back. Behind. Yeah, man.
Sit around the lamplight.
Okay.
You're looking a little green.
Key to being the best, know it to the right.
We had ghosts, didn't use it.
Sneaky, sneaky.
Felt good with TP.
Learned every weapon, bested every opponent.
If I sell that, no, I'll be at 670. You shouldn't be doing that with no bot or top priority.
Well, the end of the world isn't gonna stop
Oh,
itself.
I'm here.
An enemy is
Oh, Jesus.
unstoppable.
Yeah, that's GG. You shouldn't have been doing it.
An enemy has been slain.
Nothing
I don't know
wrong
what to
with a life
do.
of
I can't
peace.
fight it.
Could never find one myself. These old bones haven't failed me yet.
What a weird ult. Looks like the dumbest thing I've ever seen.
Gotta keep limber in my
Just airballed the ult.
Bring it on. Wait a second. Forgot my picture.
Let's go next.
Relations
Please.
really getting out of control.
It's probably gonna be TP.
Killing spree.
That went pretty good.
Looks mighty free.
I think we can actually win.
You're welcome.
Your team has destroyed
Holly.
a turret.
Hinting. It's probably not good.
Rampage.
Nice.
Shut down. An enemy has been slain.
I need attack speed.
Might have to make another heroic last stand.
Maybe. Yeah, probably.
Your
I'll break her
turret has
next.
been destroyed. Your team has
Just
destroyed a
promise
turret.
me.
Turret headed cover.
I do believe. Triple. Quadra.
Enemy quadra kill.
I don't know, man. That was not a great fight. Can we just get next though? Like, why do we need to waste a 40-minute game on unranked?
Your turret has been destroyed.
It looked like a good pick. Instead, it gets a quadra kill.
Sword and shield beats old
Doesn't
bait.
Jax counter Yone? No.
Your turret has been destroyed.
Oh, maybe. I don't really care. I just
Your
want out.
inhibitor has been destroyed. Your turret has been destroyed.
Almost missed.
Some say I battle hard.
Excuse me.
An ally has been slain. Double kill.
I'm all for going next.
Come on, easy.
Oh, what a stupid TP. Please go next. Mm-mm-mm. Thank God. Oh my. Imagine. Alright. And falls now just snow. dyslexic little fella. Bro. Alright, let's see what's what. Create 5 short video ideas for my cold exposure channel. Include a brief summary of the video content. Alright, ChatGPT, don't let me down. No. No. Man, I do want to make, like, down here, long-term goal, actual study, whoops, sorry, with sleep analysis, 30 days, no cold, 30 days with cold. How does it compare? Why did that hyperlink? Alright, I need to figure out an idea. No, ChatGPT is letting me down here. Falls on just now. Alright, let's try again. I like the busy people one, I guess. It gave the same exact ideas, which is weird. I don't hate the ideas for busy people. Let's work on that. How to cold plunge for busy people. What's the most effective way to... Dude, it's such a short amount of time. It doesn't matter if you're busy. Oh, I do need to include this link in the contrast therapy video. Why is it doing that? Oh my goodness, it's so frustrating. Reference, link, boom. Save. Wait, did that work? Is it an actual link now? It is. Yay, I can link. Cool. Alright, now let's... I hate that it just reads like my description rather than... I guess what else could it do? Why wouldn't I have the... I know why. Alright. I really need to figure out the video idea for this week. Alright. We need to figure out what the video is gonna be this week. What?
That was the dog.
The dog's so loud. Alright, let's see if Facebook wants to help. I doubt it. Facebook's never helpful, but that's okay. can't possibly be out of ideas a month into this, 2 weeks into this. Okay. You know, the other thing I could do is definitely would a video, how would you even describe it? Dissecting, yeah. Would a video dissecting a podcast and the information provided let's see what it says. So that's something I could definitely do. Now it just becomes a matter of finding the podcast and dissecting it. How do you see in cold exposure to improve your health? Okay.
Quality ingredients. Science.
Welcome
I don't know if this is going to work. This is a 2.5 hour podcast.
to the Huberman Lab podcast, where we discuss science and science-based tools for everyday life. I'm Andrew Huberman, and I'm a professor of neurobiology and ophthalmology at Safely. Before we begin, I'd like to emphasize that this box. I'm pleased to announce that I will be hosting Dr. Susanna Soberg. Welcome.
Thank you.
So great to have you here. I feel like I should give a little bit of the backstory of how we got connected, which was that for many years, I've been interested in cold thermogenesis. It was the topic of my senior thesis in college. And I've, of course, followed the popularity of Wim Hof. And we've had Dr. Craig Heller, my colleague from biology department at Stanford, who works on cold and its impact on physiology and sports performance. So for a long time, I've been interested in this area. But there's been a real lack of new, let's say, high-profile, quality scientific information in terms of how, for instance, cold plunges and sauna, how that impacts human physiology. I know there's been some information out there, but it's been sort of scattered. And then a little over a year ago, I see this paper in Cell Reports Medicine and was immediately struck first of all, the fact that it was in Cell Reports Medicine. I've been on the Cell Press editorial board for a long time now. Cell Press journals are, of course, phenomenal journals. And the title and the content of the paper was directly in line with the sorts of practices that people are very curious about and that are starting to emerge, things like sauna, cold plunges. And there was your name first on the author list. And I reached out to you through social media, and we've done a little bit of live content there together. And I've been tracking what you've been doing in the world in terms of your book and talking about the results in your manuscript and talking about the science and impact of deliberate cold exposure and sauna. And I have to say that it's been a wonderful and remarkable thing to see. And you're bringing so much quality information about this area that for a long time I think was kind of niche and is now becoming more and more mainstream.
I'm water on my arm. Like a lot. Would I call this something like in their own words? Let's consider that really quick. Content. I could do that. This podcast is so good.
So I'm going to start off with a thank you for being here and a thank you for the work that you've done. And I'm looking forward to talking to you about it today. So my first question to get things started is, what is happening when we get into an uncomfortably cold environment? So for instance, if I'm really hot on a hot day, jumping into a cold pool feels really good. But if I'm already kind of at room temperature, I'm a little bit chilly, getting into that same temperature of water doesn't feel so good, right? There's a shock there. So if you could just walk us through what happens when we get into uncomfortably cold water, whether or not it's by way of shower or cold plunge, at the level of our physiology, and if you'd like, our psychology. I think that's a good place for us to start, because I think it will orient people to their own experience if they do that.
Yeah.
And for those that haven't done it, might start to peel back some of the layers as to what the underlying mechanisms of cold are.
Yeah. Thank you for that question. It's really good to just address what actually happens in our physiology when we get cold. And you can get cold in many ways. So you can just head out for the one that gives you the most potent stressor, which is submerging into cold water. But you could also go in outside in the cold wind. That's also going to activate your sympathetic nervous system. So get all these neurotransmitters going in your body, and so your catecholamines. Let's just address that we are taking a cold plunge, for example. So if you are very hot, for example, before you go into the cold water, it's going to feel less stressful, but the temperature difference from your skin to the cold is definitely going to give you a shock, but your core temperature is warmer, and that's going to feel a little bit better. So that's why when people go into a sauna, for example, and go out then into the cold water, they can do it easier than if they were cold beforehand.
Could I just ask you a few questions? So you mentioned the sympathetic nervous system, which for people listening who aren't familiar with that is the branch of our nervous system that's responsible for creating accelerations in heart rate, feelings of alertness. It's accompanied with stress and the stress response, but it's accompanied with waking up in the morning, for that matter. So it's not always about stress. And then you mentioned the catecholamines, which are dopamine, epinephrine, and norepinephrine. So maybe a little bit later we'll talk about those individual neurotransmitters. But you raise a really important point, which is something I get asked about a lot for people that are curious about using deliberate cold exposure, which is how cold should the water be? And I know it's very hard to give a straight prescription for that, because I think it boils down to what you just said, which is it's really the difference between your current temperature and really the temperature at the surface of your skin and the temperature of the water. So if you're very warm, getting into cold feels good. If you're already cold, getting into more cold feels stressful. Is there any way that we can start to gauge what is the best way to approach a deliberate cold exposure protocol? I mean, should it feel uncomfortable? And that leads into the question of how do we balance the discomfort with the amount of time that we spend in? So for instance, if it's just a little bit uncomfortable, will spending more time in the cold get us the same benefit as getting into very uncomfortably cold water for a very short period of time?
Yeah, it's a really good question. And I definitely think that this could be future studies on this as well, to really unravel what kind of protocols are the best way, or also for which outcomes, of course. So if the temperature is very cold and you feel that, and you also feel very cold, then you should stay in the water a little bit longer. So I think it's just, you should get uncomfortable cold. So as long as you get uncomfortable cold, it's cold enough, and you get this, what we call the cold shock. So the cold shock is activation of your sympathetic nervous system and these activation of the catecholamines, which you just mentioned before.
Does the shock mean that I'm having trouble controlling my breathing? Is that a good gauge?
Yeah, you can say so, because that's kind of like how we define it. So you hyperventilate, so you have a faster breathing rate, So that increases also because you activate your gasping reflex if you are new to this. But if you are adapted, it kind of subsides with time, with adaptation. So what you can do is that you can train this cold exposure and you can kind of like get adapted to it. So you don't have this hyperventilating response every time you go out in the cold water. So this is like building up your resilience, building up your adaptation is gonna make this shock like subside a bit. So it's always harder in the beginning, but you should do hard things, right? It's not something that you shouldn't think about cold water and cold water immersion as something that is comfortable. It should be hard because that's the point of it, right? If you enjoy it, then I'm thinking something is wrong. It's not right. You should not enjoy it.
Well, this is an important point that you're making because I think that many people shy away from deliberate cold exposure because it's uncomfortable in a way that, at least from my experience, is very different than the discomfort of exercise. Because with exercise, for instance, if running hard, running fast and breathing hard is uncomfortable, you can slow down or walk. If lifting weights is uncomfortable, you can remove some weight or reduce the number of repetitions or stop. With deliberate cold exposure, I suppose you can be sort of halfway in, halfway out of the water or partially underneath the cold shower, but it's very hard to titrate and adjust the level. It's kind of all or none. And I've seen, I can tell this by anecdote, I've done some work with military special operations. I won't say which country, this was outside the US. And these are very tough individuals. They're used to going without sleep and doing hard, high consequence, high risk kind of work. And they were asked to do some cold water exposure training, and I was there that day, and it was remarkable. About a third of them just went straight in and just kind of grinded through it. Like they looked stoic anyway to me. There were a few whimpers, no cries. About a third talked a lot and you could tell that they were agitated and anxious, but they made it through. And then about a third of them just simply would not get in past their knees or thighs. It seemed like they were just dreading the whole experience. Some actually didn't go in completely, which was really surprising to me. And you couldn't tell based on their physical appearance or anything else about them. They're all high performers as to who would have this response. So it seems like people vary tremendously in terms of their ability to embrace the discomfort of the cold. Is that, from your studies, is that your experience as well? Or are there these weird mutants who seem to just love going into the cold for the first time?
So some people just feel better in the cold, and some people dread the cold even more. And you can say the more people are pushing the cold away, they might feel the cold pain even more. So they would definitely, people who are maybe the soldiers you just talked about, some of them might be already adapted to the cold. So if they are not scared of the cold, they go out and they embrace the cold in a better way. It could also be that some people have a more sensitive nervous system. And when you are a bit sensitive to the cold, you will, of course, try to get away from it, right? And you will also have the cold pain more, feel the cold pain more if you avoid.
What on earth?
So the more you avoid the cold, the more painful it will feel when you go into it. So yeah.
You mentioned being outside in a t-shirt versus cold immersion up to the neck versus shower. I think this is something a lot of people wonder about. What are the differences in terms of impact, short term and perhaps even long term, between cold showers, cold plunge to the neck, so that could be in ice water or just very cold water, immersion with dunking one's head and then coming up, because obviously people have to come up for air at some point, and then simply being outside on a cold day in shorts and a t-shirt or something of that sort?
So there are different outcomes because they are very different exposures of the cold to your cold receptors in your skin. So the more you can say you cover your body in the cold, which you would do in cold water, because they're of course covered totally and the molecules are closer to your skin, you will have a more potent activation of all your cold receptors in the skin. So that one will definitely activate your autonomous nervous system more and rapid compared to going out in a t-shirt in the cold wind, just go for a walk. But that is also something that's going to activate your sympathetic nervous system, meaning then that you will have an increase in norepinephrine, and you will activate something called the brown fat. So this is a healthy kind of fat tissue that we have in our body, and when you activate that, that's going to increase your metabolism.
Before we talk about brown fat, and I'm so glad you brought it up because it's so much to talk about there. What about cold shower? I mean, obviously cold shower is somewhere in between being outside in the air, cold air, versus being immersed up to the neck.
If we had more studies on cold showers, we would learn more about how does that activate our metabolism, how does that increase our neurotransmitters in the brain, which could also have an impact on our mental balance. So I think that would be interesting for the future. But what we do know is from activating brown fat, and both from rodent studies, but also in humans, is that as soon as we get cold on our skin, we will activate our brown fat. So it is kind of like our first responder in the body to keep our temperature up. So our muscles is like the second tissue in our body. We have two tissues which can increase our thermogenesis. So the brown fat, which is like always like temperature regulating our body, and then we have the muscles, which will secondarily start to shiver, and that's going to increase our temperature in the body. But as soon as you go into a cold shower, you will activate your brown fat also immediately. So it could be good also for increasing metabolism in theory, because we haven't really any studies showing how much does it actually activate the brown fat. So if someone out there wants to do a study on that, it would be great.
I've thought about why there are fewer studies of cold showers than cold immersion. And I think the answer to my mind is that from a methodological standpoint, it's just harder to do, because if people are getting into cold water up to the neck, they're getting into cold water up to the neck. Whereas if people are getting into a cold shower, some people are larger or smaller. Some people are going to stand under the shower with it hitting their head, some people the back of the neck. You could direct people to do it, but it's a little bit more difficult. Also, I think for you and I are both research scientists, there's a little bit of a methodological challenge that might seem silly to people, but it's a real one, which is if people are in a cold shower, also the water is going to be kind of pushing their clothing against their skin. There's a certain vulnerability for most people coming to a laboratory in the first place, let alone being observed while they shower. Whereas when you get into cold immersion, you're getting under the water. And some people might roll their eyes and say, okay, really, is that the barrier? But science exists in these real world contexts. And this will vary by culture and things of that sort. But we run human subjects in my lab, and I'll tell you just the process of getting people to the laboratory and having them park and find the lab. And, it's a whole new environment with people in lab coats and people moving around, and where's the restroom? I mean, there's a certain amount of stress just associated with taking part in a study for most human subjects. So I totally agree. However, we need more studies of cold showers. It's just a harder environment to control in my mind. So it sounds like any form of cold to the skin that people register as what you called a cold shock or uncomfortable, like this is kind of jarring. activates the brown fat. Do we know what the pathway is from cold receptors on the skin to the brown fat? I mean, how does the brown fat know that we're cold?
Yeah, really good question. And it seems that I think that, of course, in the future, we will know much more about these pathways. But what we do know is that the cold receptors will send a signal to our temperature regulating center in the brain, so hypothalamus. And that's going to be taking in this message. And we have so many cold receptors in the skin, so it's going to be very fast. As you can say, if you immerse the body into cold water, this is going to be so rapid. So it will have a rapid increase in neurotransmitters in the brain.
Let me Google something. Can I make sharp clips of heavyweight content? Huh. So maybe that won't work. There's less fair use protection if the copying is for pure commercial. Was in nature. It won't serve as a substitute. I wonder. I don't think anyone would care because it's a small audience.
Into noradrenaline, adrenaline, and cortisol, and which is not that much, but it's still there. So you have this increase in noradrenaline, which will then immediately activate the brown fat, because you can say the activator is the most potent one, cold and noradrenaline. That's going to activate the brown fat. But there's also a direct pathway from the cold receptors in the skin to the brown fat, which really shows that because of these different pathways, it shows that it could be that this tissue to keep us warm was developed in our evolvement as humans to keep us warm and to save us whenever the temperature on our skin varies just a little bit, to keep us in that right homeostatic balance so we don't get hypothermic, but also so we don't get hyperthermic, because it seems that the brown fat is also activated when we get warmer on our skin. So it's also maybe a temperature regulator in our body. But the pathway is different. I think it's also a third pathway directly from the muscles. So the brown fat is also activated even though the muscles are starting to shiver. So there's an extra pathway that way to keep our temperature up. So muscles and brown fat are working together to keep us warm, so we don't suffer too much in the cold water.
It's super interesting, and what I hear you pointing to is the existence of 3 parallel pathways. And this notion of parallel pathways comes up over and over again in biology, as you and I know. And I mean, I think it's important for people to know about because, as you said so eloquently, when something is very important to our survival or evolution, the brain and body install multiple mechanisms for it, not just one. And so it sounds like it's cold.
I think this may be too much, to do this way. Maybe. Yo.